make sure it's kosher. Lean on me like Bill Withers until you smell the roses. What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscribe or die trying. You see the thumbnail. Do the gods have a dilemma? That's Orlando. What's that? I would say Orlando Jordan, but it ain't Orlando Jordan. Orlando Jones. From American Gods. The scene where he was playing a Nazi and he was like, he was talking to the other quote unquote African gods. I want to say Tot and I forgot who it was. It's not Bathsheba, but I forget. But excuse me. He was talking about how the world has perverted the gods and what gods are, and how race had came into play in slavery and this, that, and the third. And I just and he was like, why are y'all not angry and wanting to go to war as gods? Why are y'all just gonna sit aside and you know Tot, which was it's the Tot is the Egyptian god, the is that a stork? I want to say the one with the long thing. Chadwick Boseman actually played Tot in Gods of Egypt. Thoth or Thought. It's not Thought, but the answer was basically we're gods. We've been here. This happens, and we're gonna move on. We're just gonna write it down in the book. And Anansi's character is like, write it down in the book. If you're a god, what are you doing? So and then I started thinking. I was like, do the gods have a dilemma? Because when the Bible talked about floods, famines, disasters, God was just like, I'm done. Was that the dilemma? Like, I've seen enough. I tried. I've seen enough. Y'all got to go. And at the same time, when you think about the concept of right and wrong and good and evil and God and the devil or whatever, heaven and hell has to be earned. Has to be earned. Um, and people earn their way into heaven and hell uh, with their life actions. I know people think they're gonna just, especially in America, oh, I'm gonna just accept Lord, say my Lord and Savior is Jesus Christ, and all my sins are washed away. You've never read the Bible ever, because that is not what it says. You know, you'll be judged in the book of life of your actions. You know, and you don't get to skip over your actions if they're not good and go, oh, but Jesus is my Lord and Savior. It doesn't work like that. But choice, that phrase, I give you life and death. You choose, basically. And it, is it a dilemma? Because let's say God has a plan. We don't know God's ways. His ways are not our ways. And this dilemma question is probably out of line. He's seen suffering since since you know Cain killed Abel, or seen suffering since Adam and Eve were banished, from Eden. But the question I pose is, what happens when people are born into a situation where you actually believe you're just and right because you've been brainwashed to believe it, and you believe people are evil because you're brainwashed to believe it, and you both are you talking to the same God, and you can absolve your wrongs and justify some, no, you can justify your wrongs and destroy other people's rights. And it became, intriguing because I don't know how that's gonna, how that, we have generation to generation to generation, and children and grandchildren and great grandchildren and great grandchildren have been raised with this inverted, perverted dynamic of what good and evil is and what truth and a lie is. You know, how does that affect the quote unquote outcome? They say God protects babies and fools. So if a country is breeding fools in some of those, and those fools can participate in devilish actions because they're foolish, they don't go to hell, they go to heaven for that. And I think, you know, they tell people not to lose faith, and I get it. I do. But without saying that, what in our society, we say we have a belief that God blesses people with material things and successes. And if you didn't get blessed with these things, God doesn't have favor for you or whatever. And but nobody asks, the devil blesses people too, could you have favor from that? And people go, no, 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 but that's not me. It's like maybe it is, maybe it ain't. Who knows? But for God so loved the world that He gave only His only begotten Son. That son wasn't, quote unquote, wasn't rich. You get what I'm saying? He was, God didn't bless him with success. You get what I'm saying? So his own son lived in poverty. So in some ways, God's only child had to live a life with the lowest rung of human society. And that's why we use Jesus as an option, but you know, because he should be able to relate. A kid from a great family, a good father, blah blah blah. But he has nothing. He's not necessarily. He's the antithesis of the prodigal son. The prodigal son is a rich kid, a spoiled kid who went out to the world and lost it all and came back home. This was a good kid who his father let him be in the most bad situations and made miracles happen in his name. And I say that all to say, you know, did capitalism become the God to the point that if God ain't in your bank account, he's not enough. You know what I'm saying? And has he been rewarding people for being evil? You know, because when people think about DMX, Lord give me a sign, I think less and less people are seeing signs. And the dilemma is, am I supposed to be walk by faith and not by sight? Or am I supposed to be walking towards God by faith and walking away because, you know, it just ain't working? So in that sense, does God have a dilemma to show himself to you? Like I've talked about me having an out of body experience and this, that, and the third. And I still, I believe in God. But I wonder if he's okay with the suffering. I doubt it. I really doubt it, but I think people ask the question. You know, it can't be a utopia for everybody. His son didn't get a utopia, so why should we get one? You know, but these are questions. You know, does God have a dilemma? That answers for God, not us, right? But tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe, or die trying. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.